My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every single week, we break down full UFC fight cards. We give you our bets, we give you our picks, and we give you our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. And this video is brought to you by BETU Play to Earn. It is the world's first play-to-earn sports and esports betting game. Check it out now at betuearn.com. That's bet, the letter U, earn.com. Next up, at UFC Vegas 49, we have Terrance McKinney fighting Ziam. This is rebooked from UFC Vegas 43. That was back in November because of COVID protocol. It was Terrance McKinney's corner man had COVID, so not Terrance. But the fight was canceled and it is now finally rebooked. Terrance McKinney is 11-3 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, riding a 4-fight knockout streak. Ziam, 12-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off 2 solid decision wins, and all of his wins are decision wins. Terrance McKinney was a giant underdog in his last fight, not this rebooking, in his last fight. He took it on short notice. Nobody liked him to win. I didn't agree with that. I loved this guy to win. I had him winning. He did win, 7-second knockout, and Terrance McKinney showed the world, hey, I've got power in my hands, and I'm a nasty wrestler on top of that. He's long. He's powerful. He does like to fight at range. And, you know, he's got a ton of knockouts, but he's a wrestler. He's absolutely a wrestler. He was a JUCO All-American wrestler. Michael Chiesa was his high school wrestling coach. He's a far better, more accomplished wrestler than Michael Chiesa is. But he is a wrestler who has found not only power in his hands, right? We've seen people like Phil Hawes, a wrestler who found power, but never really found the range, never really found the setups, just power. Where Terrance McKinney has striking range as well, and he has nice striking setups on top of the wrestling. Ziam, he's a long, rangy striker who also works well in the clinch. He manages range really well with solid leg kicks, and if he works to a clinch, he has solid elbows inside of there. He's the more technical fighter in most of his matchups, and he avoids risks really well. He picks his shots well, and he only engages when he sees opportunities. So he has no problem hanging around the outside, doing almost nothing, and then as soon as he sees an opportunity, that's when he'll come in, mix it up, and then quickly go back out to the outside and play that range. He takes his time, and he's always looking to point his way to a victory. You cannot get this guy to engage in a firefight. I've talked about this many times before with people who have been rebooked. So Vegas opens up the lines, fighter A versus fighter B. They set the lines. The money comes in, so the lines end up moving with the money, and then the fight's canceled. So Vegas knows what the market wanted to do there, and then when they redo the fight and they put it back up on the board months later, it opens at a much different line. The first time this fight was booked, Terrance McKinney was a medium-sized favorite. Now he's a slight underdog. These odds have basically completely reversed since the first time it was booked. I find that interesting. I would have thought it went the other way. I actually love Terrance to win this fight. I don't necessarily see how Firas wins. He would have to defend all the takedowns, play the outside game perfectly. But Terrance McKinney has power. He is fast, and he has nasty wrestling. I've got a 1-unit money line bet on Terrance McKinney. I love that I'm getting plus money on it. I just absolutely see him getting it done. I have a stat here. He's got 68% takedown defense, but he's been taken down in every single one of his UFC fights, including 5 times against Jamie Mullarkey. And Jamie Mullarkey is nowhere near the wrestler that Terrance McKinney is. So I think Terrance McKinney tries to mix it up on his feet, doesn't have much success, goes to the wrestling, gets the takedowns, dominates from there. Jakey boy, what do you think?
I disagree. I do love Terrance McKinney. I think he's got one of the best stories you've ever heard. He's such a great kid. He is the guy that got high on acid and tried to fight a bunch of cops and got tasered 10 times. You can watch the body cam video. It is the craziest thing you've ever seen. He's very open and honest about it. He said, yeah, I had a bad night, and I've learned from my mistakes. And now here he is just knocking at everyone. He's kind of like the Jamal Hill of the lightweight division, because Jamal Hill kind of, when he knocks people out, it's like, it doesn't really look like he has power, but when he hits people, all of a sudden they are going flying across the cage, as you saw with Johnny Walker. And Terrance McKinney's the same way against who was his last fight? Not I keep thinking Felder, but Matt Favola. it was just a 1-2, just boom, boom, down the pipe. When he hits people, they go to sleep. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to pick him, because of his fight experience. I added up. He's got 2 minutes and 48 total cage time in his last 6 fights combined. And yes, I know he's knocking people out, and that's great when you don't really have to fight that long. But I think in this fight, it's going to go long, and you kind of saw that in that Sean Woodson fight. There was cardio issues a little bit. I think it was only a second-round finish for Sean Woodson. You kind of see him getting tired. In this fight, you did mention Ziam against Jamie Mullarkey. He was taken down, but he won a lot of scrambles against Mullarkey, and he also used his offensive grappling in that fight. I think Ziam plays it safe in the first round, and I see him turning up the pressure and using his offensive grappling to wear down Terrance McKinney. I mentioned the 2 minutes and 48 seconds of fight time Terrance McKinney has in his last fights. Ziam has 20 minutes and 29 seconds in his last 6 fights of cage time. So there's a big difference in experience there. I think he uses that. I think he avoids the first round knockout and is able to use his offensive grappling and kind of those pitter-patter striking to win this fight. 2 rounds to nothing. So I'm taking Ziam in this matchup, but I agree. I think it's close. I like Terrance McKinney. If it's a first round knockout, I wouldn't be surprised.
What is 2 rounds? How does he get to 2 rounds to nothing? What happens that third round in the fight?
No, 2 rounds to 1. Sorry, he wins the second and third round.
Oof. Yeah, I just don't see it. The Jamie Mullarkey fight's a perfect example. The dude took him down 5 times. That guy is not a wrestler. Like
Ziam won the fight, so
I get it. He was taken down 5 times. Terrance McKinney's a JUCO All-American, and if you guys know anything about
but
wrestling,
if you don't use your wrestling,
but he does use it. If you guys don't know anything about wrestling or some of those
people fall in love with striking.
Other JUCO sports, essentially being a JUCO All-American is almost equivalent to being a D1 All-American. It's traditionally guys that didn't have the grades necessarily to go to D1, so they went to junior college, dominated from there, and then moved on. John Jones, JUCO. Similar path, similar story.
When those grapplers start knocking people out, they don't like to grapple.
DraftKings, I absolutely love $7,800. Terrance McKinney will be in my lineup. $7,800 is fantastic. And I'm surprised DraftKings took that feels like wide for DraftKings, considering it's, the different books have different lines, but the $7,800 to $8,400 seems much wider than plus 105 to minus 125. Do you like Firas for your DraftKings lineup?
I will say, after I broke down this fight, I really thought McKinney was going to be the favorite. I'm actually very surprised that he's not the favorite in this matchup. So that said, I think Ziam's going to win, but I think he's overvalued both in price at DraftKings and in betting. So that's how I feel about it.
Terrance was the favorite in November, and the market,
right.
I guess the vast majority of people and their money disagreed. And we'll see. Maybe it'll flip again come fight night. Monkey knife fight, I don't know what to do with that. Obviously, if Firas Ziam wins, it's probably less, frankly, because Terrance McKinney's got that knockout power, and if Firas wins, he probably just plays the range game really well, one random strike here and there at a time. So I think I like less a monkey knife fight. What do you think?
I don't know if we've agreed with one of these yet. I think it's a more and more.
Sure. Cool. Well, if you want to give monkey knife fight a try, go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They'll instantly match your deposit. Play with the free money, mess with some of these strike lines, and see what happens for you. You can get a decent payout.